What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
In The Matrix, Morpheus asks the same question that's been asked for centuries. What if everything you know is a lie? What if reality is just an illusion? And what if we're living in a dream? How would we even begin to find out? Hold that thought. We're going to figure it out together by taking a deep dive into The Matrix. We're going to do three things. 1, explore the timeless philosophical questions in The Matrix. 2, unpack the rich religious symbolism and ancient myths woven in the story. And 3, discuss exactly why it's more relevant now than ever and how we can test our own reality, our own matrix. Trust me, it's something you can do right now. But first, a quick recap, just for the first movie. The sequels, that's for another video. Just know there's going to be spoilers.
It means buckle your seatbelt, Dorothy, because Kansas is going bye-bye.
In 1999, The Matrix dropped. Thomas Anderson is a bored programmer by day, and Neo a hacker by night. One night, he wakes up because his computer starts talking to him, telling him to follow the White Rabbit. He follows it to a club, awkwardly lurks on the sidelines, and meets Trinity, who says she knows the question he's been asking. What is The Matrix? He wakes up again, late for work. His boss is straight out of The Incredibles.
I'm not happy, Bob. Not happy.
He drones on about punctuality and being an important cog in a machine. Then, Neo gets a mysterious phone call and a bunch of suits show up. He panics, following the voice on the phone out the window, but he's too afraid to climb down. Instead, he's captured by these agents. We meet Agent Smith, who's all, look punk, we know you're a hacker. Neo flips him the bird, gets all melty mouth, and then they shove a creepy robotic bug into his belly button. Who are these guys? Neo wakes up again, thinking it was all a dream. Trinity finds him. They remove the bug with kind of a vacuum food processor thingy, and she takes him to meet Morpheus, a guy standing by a window in the most melodramatic lightning crash scene ever. Morpheus offers him the famous red pill, blue pill choice. Blue, and you go back to normal. Red, and you see how deep the rabbit hole goes. Neo chooses the truth, and then things get gooey. The mirror he touches turns into a silver-like goo, and he wakes up in a pod covered in a real goo-like goo. He looks like a hairless mole rat, and we see him in a giant field of human pods. He has some fun sliding naked down a slippy slide. Who hasn't? Morpheus' ship rescues him.
Welcome to the real world.
Here things are dingy and old. He meets the crew of the Nebuchadnezzar. They show him what's happened, that a long war between humans and AI darkened the sky. Now robots have taken over and have enslaved almost everyone, using them as batteries. And the agents, they're programs that hunt down those that have unplugged. The crew feeds him some gross mush, more goo, dress him in funky hand-knit sweaters, and teach him kung fu. Well, actually, they upload kung fu directly into his brain. Hold on, wrong one. He spars with Morpheus with some hard falls and floating sky kicks. I think that's what they're called. Morpheus believes Neo is the one, a prophesied savior that will free everyone. Neo's not so sure. They visit the Oracle, a chain-smoking grandma who makes cookies. She tells him that he's not the one. Well, kind of. Meanwhile, Cypher, one of their own, is sick of the snot like oatmeal and dreams of steak and a comfy life back in the Matrix. He betrays them, helping the agents to spring a trap for the crew.
Ignorance is bliss.
The betrayal leads to the agents crashing in on everyone.
The great Morpheus. We meet at last.
Morpheus has an epic bathroom fight with Agent Smith. Probably my favorite bathroom fight of all time. Well, except for that Tom Cruise, Henry Cavill one in Mission Impossible. That's so cool. Then there's also the Daniel Craig one in Casino Royale, and Harry and Ron against that troll. That's fun. Jack Reacher in the bathtub. Sin City. Psycho, does that count? Jim Carrey, Pulp Fiction, Terminator, Jason Bourne, Austin Powers.
Who does number 2 work for?
Well, let's just say that Morpheus' fight scene is one of the best. Anyway, Morpheus is held captive by the irritable Agent Smith, who gives one of his best lines.
Human beings are a disease, a cancer of this planet. You are a plague, and we are the cure.
Neo knows he's not the one, but he decides to rescue Morpheus anyway. So, he needs
Guns. Lots of guns.
Neo and Trinity storm in and start a slow-mo cartwheeling shootout that includes lots of shattering tiles, plus a really cool kick. I mean, come on. This is awesome. They zip up an elevator shaft, and then Neo does his most famous move, where he dodges bullets, bends backwards as they fly by. I mean, it's iconic. For decades, you saw it everywhere. I mean, we've all tried it, right? Set up a camera and recorded ourselves bending backwards and, right? Back to the movie. Trinity then kind of real quick watches a YouTube tutorial in her brain about how to fly a helicopter, and they swoop up and rescue Morpheus. Then they fly around the city for a bit, just kind of hanging out. Apparently Trinity didn't watch the tutorial on landing the helicopter. Neo does more cool stuff and everyone escapes out of the Matrix, except for him. He faces off with Agent Smith. Then they get into one of the best fights in history with lots of throwing, rapid-fire punches, and a really cool standoff. We also learn that Neo really wants to be known by his online handle.
My name is Neo.
Smith keeps coming, finally chasing down Neo. Smith shoots him point blank and Neo slumps down to the floor, dead. Back in the real world, Trinity confesses her love to Neo, whispers in his ear, and kisses him. Neo comes back to life because of love or something. Now he can control the Matrix, literally seeing the code. He's the one. He can do anything. He stops bullets and sends the agents flying with a kick. Is it just me, or does he hold this pose for just one awkward second too long? He jumps into Smith, blowing him up, and then flexes again, holding an epic pose. Finally, at the end, Neo warns the machines that they suck big time, and he's going to wake everybody up, then flies away. Okay, so that's the Matrix, but let's take a deeper look. The Matrix poses a question we've been asking forever. What if our reality isn't real? One of the oldest and most famous explorations of this comes from Plato's allegory of the cave. It appears in the Republic. Imagine people who've been chained inside a dark cave their whole lives. They face a wall. Behind them, a fire casts shadows of puppets and objects that are being carried along a walkway. These shadows are all they've ever known. To them, that's reality. One prisoner breaks free. They climb upward and out of the cave. At first, the sunlight blinds them. It's overwhelming, but gradually they see the real world. Sun, trees, sky, everything is far more vivid, complex, and alive than they ever imagined. Excited, they run back into the cave to tell everybody else, but they just get mocked because everyone's comfortable in the shadows. Neo's journey mirrors this, but it flips the direction. He doesn't ascend into the light, he descends down into the dark, where it's cold, sterile, and scary. And it's such a shock to his system that he literally pukes. His body and brain just reject the truth at first, because the truth, unlike the warm cave, is harsh, and yet it's real.
Welcome to the desert of the real.
But then Plato handed off the philosophical baton to someone else. Centuries later, René Descartes picked it up with his own radical thought experiment. In Meditations on First Philosophy, Descartes imagined an evil demon, a malicious being with the power to fabricate every sensation, thought, and perception that we have. The world we believe in, under this view, could be a meticulously crafted illusion. Sound familiar? Then, modern philosophy gives this thought experiment a sci-fi upgrade. Enter the brain in a vat. This idea, created by these two thinkers, Gilbert Harman and Hilary Putman, asks, what if your brain has been removed from your body, suspended in fluid, connected to a computer that feeds it electrical impulses? Everything, your memories, your sensations, your sense of self, would still feel real, but none of it would be. A cave, a demon, a brain in a vat, a single relentless question passed down through the generations. And still the question remains, how do I know what's real? The Matrix is packed with Christian symbolism, starting with Neo himself. Early in the film, a guy buying illegal software from Neo says,
Hallelujah. You're my savior, man. My own personal Jesus Christ.
It seems like a joke, but it's a signal. This is a Messiah story. He's the one prophesied to save humanity, the remaining humanity that, get this, live in Zion.
Zion, the last human city.
Where is it?
Deep underground, near the Earth's core where it's still warm.
He pretty much performs miracles. He sacrifices himself, he dies, and then he's resurrected. And Trinity isn't just a love interest. Her name references the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. She whispers to Neo at the beginning, gently getting him to wake up, and she's the last voice that whispers to him before his resurrection. Morpheus acts as a kind of John the Baptist, believing in Neo, preparing the way before Neo even believes in himself.
Come on, stop trying to hit me and hit me!
And even when Morpheus pulls Neo from the vat, it kind of looks like he's baptizing him, but that might be a stretch. Back to Neo. His real name, Thomas Anderson, echoes Doubting Thomas, as Neo doesn't believe that he's the one. Cypher, meanwhile, is the Judas figure. He sells out everybody to the agents, choosing illusion over truth because he wants to go back into the Matrix, stake and all. He wants comfort over reality and betrays everybody to get it. Even Morpheus's ship, the Nebuchadnezzar, is a name from the Bible, the Old Testament king who suffered troubling dreams and longed for answers. Then you have the Matrix itself, a fallen world, and Neo is prophesied to save everybody from it. And to add a bow on everything, at the end of the movie, Neo even ascends into the sky. So yeah, the film folds in Christianity everywhere. But that's not the only angle. The story also leans heavily on Gnosticism, the idea that the world is a trap for the soul created by an evil god, the demiurge, and that salvation comes through secret knowledge. Neo's awakening is textbook Gnostic. Even Greek mythology makes its way in. Morpheus, the god of dreams, enters people's dreams to deliver messages from the gods. The oracle, like the prophetess of Delphi, is cryptic and wise, guiding with riddles. She has a small sign in her kitchen, "Know thyself." That exact phrase, Temenosh, was also carved into the walls of the temple of Apollo at Delphi. Buddhism shows up too. The spoon-bending child says,
"There is no spoon."
It's not the world that changes, it's you. The word samsara describes an illusory state, where the goal of a Buddhist is to escape samsara. That's when you reach nirvana. Then there's Hinduism. It gives us Maya, the illusion. The Matrix is Maya, and Neo, he's got to pierce through it. If you take a look at Animatrix, the animated film, it's part of Matrix canon, you see even more Eastern influence. All of these, Christianity, Gnosticism, Greek myth, Buddhism, and Hinduism, all of these are wrapped in a leather jacket and cyberpunk kick to the face. Movies come and go, but some become modern myths. The Matrix is even more than this. I'm convinced it's the definitive myth of our age. Let me explain. It came out about 25 years ago. It was relevant then as the internet was just kicking off. It's relevant now as AI is ramping up and VR is rolling in and info echo chambers are everywhere. And the thing is, the movie will be even more relevant in 25 years as AI, VR, robotics, deep fakes, and technology become even more immersive. Will there even be a distinguishable difference between our real lives and our virtual ones? That's why The Matrix resonates, because it captures a cultural collision that defines our moment. You've got Eastern and Western religions clashing everywhere, online and in the real world. Ancient questions still haunt us as we incorporate futuristic tech. Deep debates about free will, cause and effect are jammed right next to entertaining action scenes. Deep meets shallow, ancient meets future, East meets West. We live in a moment where spiritual hunger and digital distractions coexist. We're at a nexus point, a cultural intersection. It's easy to get lost in it, to drift, to numb out, to live in a kind of matrix of our own making. But there's a way out, and it doesn't require karate. Here are 5 habits to help us avoid the matrix. The first 4 are principles from some of the best thinkers ever, but pay attention to the last one, because I show you exactly how all of this can be applied right now. Let's plug into all 5. 1. Question like Socrates. In the first 45 minutes of The Matrix, Neo has 80 lines, but get this, 44 of those lines are questions.
What? Who are you? How did you do that? What is the Matrix? Who's coming for me? How do you know all this? What is happening to me? What? Why? What is that? You did all this?
What does that mean?
Am I dead? Why am I, sir? What's happened to me? What is this place? When? Where is it? I can't go back, can I?
Reminds me of Socrates. He lived at about 400 BCE, and he was a menace. All he did was ask questions, annoying, relentless, piercing questions. He was so disruptive, they put him up for trial and sentenced him to death. His crime? Corrupting the youth. Really, he just made people uncomfortable by exposing how little they actually knew. It's said that a friend of Socrates asked the oracle at Delphi who was the wisest person in all of Greece. The oracle said, Socrates. When Socrates heard this, he didn't flex, he questioned it. He thought, this can't be true, it's gotta be a riddle. So he just went out and he says, I gotta solve this riddle. He went and spoke to the wisest people he could find, politicians, poets, scholars, sages, priests, anyone that was celebrated for their wisdom. But the more he talked to them, the more he realized they weren't wise. They thought they were. They spoke with certainties and with confidence, but underneath, shallow answers and unchecked assumptions. That's when it clicked. Socrates was wise not because he knew more, but because he knew that he didn't know. Socrates was quoted to say, all that I know is that I know nothing. That humility, that refusal to pretend to be certain is what made him wise. So he asked a lot of questions. If you want to escape the matrix or avoid building one of your own, start there. 2, doubt like Descartes.
What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life, that there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind.
Let's talk about doubt for a minute. René Descartes knows a thing or two about doubt. He famously doubted everything. In fact, a branch of critical thinking is named after him, Cartesian skepticism. Not just because he would break up a problem into small parts, but because he doubted. And he took it pretty far. He doubted his senses, his memories, even his own existence. He basically bottomed out. Do I even exist? Then he reasoned, I'm able to doubt, so I must be a thinking entity that in some way exists. So he concluded, I think, therefore I am. You've probably heard this a gazillion times. It's his declaration that he actually exists. And from there, he built upwards. Now that's pretty extreme, but we can learn something from him here. Doubt isn't a bug, it's a feature. I'm now convinced that doubt is your instinct learning to discern. It's your inner self learning how to separate signal from noise, the useful from the distracting. In a world full of hot takes, curated realities, and belief systems, doubt is your internal compass recalibrating. If you're part of any group that tells you that doubt is dangerous and that you should just trust and not to listen to doubters, all I've got to say is,
run, Neo, run.
I'm serious. If anyone tells you not to listen to your doubts, this is a red flag. Listen, metaphorically, if info is a meal, then doubt is your vegetables. Not fun, but healthy. Or in Matrix terms, maybe it feels like gooey oatmeal.
It's a single-celled protein combined with synthetic aminos, vitamins, and minerals. Everything the body needs.
It's a healthy part that you need every day. You don't have to feast at the buffet of doubt like Descartes. That'll just drive everybody nuts. It means you stop and think. You make space for uncertainty. You let that inner voice challenge what you've been handed so that you can follow a path that you trust. 3, reason like Bayes. Let's get nerdy for a second. Thomas Bayes, a minister turned mathematician, gave us a way to update our beliefs based on new evidence. It's really powerful and it's used all over the place. It's called Bayesian reasoning. He probably named it himself. Here's the basic idea. It includes a formula, so I'm going to throw a bunch of cool fight scenes in the background so that you'll stick around.
No one has ever done anything like this.
That's why it's going to work.
The probability of A given B is equal to the probability of B given A occurring. Given event A has occurred divided by the probability of event B. Did you get all that? Basically, you start with a belief, then you get new evidence, and you revise your belief based off the power of that evidence. You need a scorpion kick from Trinity to stay awake here? Bayesian thinking forces us to adjust. It keeps us humble, flexible, curious, and it reminds us of this crucial, so important principle. The more extraordinary the claim, the more extraordinary the evidence should be. Now, let's build on that. 4, detect BS like Sagan. Carl Sagan's baloney detection kit is presented in his awesome book, The Demon-Haunted World, Science as a Candle in the Dark. It's one of my top 3 books of all time. He essentially presents a checklist of biases and logical fallacies, scientific principles of thinking that keep us in check. A few quick highlights. The more emotionally attached you are to a claim, the more scrutiny is needed. Not because the claim is necessarily wrong, but because your brain will bend reality to protect it. Also, I love this one. Imagine multiple hypotheses for any evidence. Another thing, he makes a case for Occam's razor, basically to not add unnecessary complications to a theory. Then he reinforces the principle that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, borrowing a bit from that boring Bayes formula we just talked about.
Oh, déjà vu.
This is just a taste of his BS detection kit. See a link to the full kit in the description. Essentially, he challenges us to raise the bar on what we consider good evidence. 5, apply it.
There's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path.
I want to show you a surprising tool that'll help you apply these principles right now. This tool has an ironic twist. The AI that put Neo in the Matrix can be used to free us from ours. Let me explain. Recently, I built a custom ChatGPT prompt, instructions for AI to follow. Not a prompt to get answers, but to sharpen my thinking. A template, a scaffolding that I can plug any claim into. So I told it, you're Sherlock Holmes, a world-class investigator with an IQ of over 180. You specialize in statistics, reasoning, and telling me things I don't want to hear. I'm going to give you a claim, and I want you to question like Socrates. Think through problems like Descartes, breaking things down to examine each part. Detect red flags and emotional manipulations like Carl Sagan. Use Bayesian reasoning to demand more of evidence and update beliefs based on new evidence. Be aware of my biases and call them out, especially when I'm leaning too hard into skepticism, because I can tell you right now, that's my default bias. So basically, I was asking it to act like my very best thinking self, not who I am every day, but who I want to be when I'm really dialed in. So those were the instructions. You can see a link to the entire prompt, it's pretty big, in the description. In fact, recently I fed this prompt an example of a controversial claim. It's kind of a low stakes conspiracy theory that's been going around the internet, that the NBA lottery is rigged. People were passing around this meme with a bunch of numbers and connecting the dots that made it look like it was a conspiracy. All I did was take that image, the meme, and add it to the prompt. Not to see if the claims were true, but to see how the claims in this meme could be pressure tested. And what I got back wasn't an answer, it was something better. A rigorous breakdown, pros and cons of each side, blind spots I hadn't even noticed, better questions I should have asked, context about the numbers, a step-by-step structure for critical thinking. It just felt like I had this truth-seeking Morpheus right at my side. Go check it out. Add a claim, a meme, a video link, an article, anything, and see if it challenges your thinking and helps you look at things a little differently. This is how we use AI without getting trapped by it. We don't ask it what to think. We train it to help us think better. So we question, doubt, reason, detect BS, and leverage AI. We copy and paste this prompt, we customize it, we lay the rails, and then we run our beliefs, new or old, safe or risky, humbly, through a gauntlet of critical thinking. That's how we get a little bit closer to reality. That's how we unplug. One question, one doubt, one dodged bullet at a time. At least that's how I see it. We'll see ya.